Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our very first stock draft here. You got John Hopkins. I'm with the president of EarningsBeats, going to be joined by Tom Bowley, and going to be joined by two great guys from StockCharts.com. This is our first collaboration with them. We've got Grayson Roze going to join us and Julius to Kempenaer. They're going to come in and share their expertise with all of you today. If you happen to be new to EarningsBeats or StockCharts, I want to welcome you. We've got a great full house today for this event, and want to make sure you all know that we record all of our events. Every single event that we conduct is recorded. For some reason you can't stick around, just don't worry about it. We'll make sure you get a copy of the recording. I'd like to start out by asking people where you're from. We always like to hear from people, where are you coming from? And I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, and let's hear from some of you where you're coming from as well, because I know we've got members worldwide. Anyways, go ahead and put in the comments section. Just go ahead and tell us where you're from. Oh, the Philippines. How about that? Right out of the bat. Miami. We got Miami. Nice Miami, Florida, Atlanta. Okay, upstate New York. Great area. Finland. All right, here we go. We got the worldwide going here. All right, just keep them coming there. We'll be checking in with everybody. Anyways, I want to go ahead and get started right away. Let's get Tom Bowley in here, my partner. Hey, good morning, Tom. How's it going?
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I saw somebody from Rome, Italy. I got my my Ryder Cup shirt from Rome, the Rome 2023 Ryder Cup where we lost. I
was there. Lost. Yep. Worse than it looked. But anyways, yeah, great to have all of you. And so, Tom, this is a first for us today, and again, collaboration with Grayson and Julius, and really want to welcome them. We've had a relationship with StockCharts for so many years. I was thinking about this when I do my own trading. I can honestly say I don't think I've ever looked at it. I don't even know what other StockCharts services exist. How about that?
Yeah, it's been a great collaboration. I started writing for StockCharts back in 2006, so it's been almost 20 years. Kind of hard to believe, that we've been together that long. But yeah, I mean, the relationship that we've had there has been great. Of course, Grayson and I used to do shows together, and Julius and I have done many different sessions together, and really good friends, good people. And we're going to have some fun this morning doing a little smack talk and take a look at some stocks and kind of an interesting time in the market, but we'll get into all that in just a couple minutes. But yeah, great to be here with everybody. Good to see everybody and so many folks from around the globe.
All right, I want to mention one last piece of housekeeping, then we'll bring Grayson and Julius in. We have every time we have one of these events, we want to reward people. So we have a special. It's called the flash sale. I'm going to talk about it later, but you can go to EarningsBeats.com and you'll see at the very top, there's a link. If you want to join us and be part of our community, you'll save a lot of money. Like I said, I'll get into that later. But why don't we bring the stock chart guys here and have just a little bit of dialogue about the market and what's going on? Hey, guys.
Howdy, team.
Yeah. Good morning, guys.
We got Julius at the farm. I know you said you were out taking care of the horses this morning.
I was. That's right. in a very rainy, dark Amsterdam.
Okay. Amsterdam. So we got one from Amsterdam. Absolutely. And then Grayson, what's the weather like there?
It is dark. Yeah, I'm 3 hours behind you guys. I got coffee here. This is called coffee. It helps you wake up in the morning. So glad to have this. I don't even know what it's like outside. It's pitch black out there. Speaking
of dark, we had a little bit of trouble in the market recently. I mean, it was humming along, and then it's really something when the market decides to take a little vacation. It can happen pretty quickly, and even though you might see the NASDAQ down a couple percent. When you start looking at some of these individual stocks, they're down 15, 20, 30% just out of nowhere. What do you think, Tom, of what's going on right now and maybe where we're headed?
Well, I'd say this draft is coming at a pretty interesting time. So I think we're going to get some real-time, analysis of, what you do in this kind of a situation, because a lot of the leaders, like you said, have taken really big hits. And you got to look at this. Is this an opportunity? Everybody waiting on a pullback. Well, we're getting a pullback in many of these stocks. So are you getting ready to jump in? Or do you think maybe this is the start of something that's a little bit deeper and you're going to, wait? Well, we don't have that luxury because we got to make our picks today and hold them through Friday before the Super Bowl. So it's going to be an interesting draft, and I'm interested to hear from these two guys. We haven't spoken about this, but with all the turbulence this past week, volatility index getting through 20, which is unusual, starting to show a lot of fear in the market. What do you do? How do you build a portfolio and be comfortable with it at this point? So, yeah, I'll be really interested to hear. And as far as the timing goes, I don't know if everybody understands, but Grayson is out in Seattle, Washington. So I knew what the weather was before he ever even said it because it's raining. Of course it's raining. And it's also 7 a.m. out there. So he does need his coffee this morning. You look like you just got up a little bit ago. And Julius is in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. So he's around the world. He doesn't know what a stock draft is. So Grayson and I have a little advantage there.
There you go.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun.
All right. Well, Grayson, I'm always amazed at, you look at a stock like Meta.
Yeah.
Got up to $800. It dipped below 600. Everybody loved that stock at 800. They don't want to touch it at 595. So what do you think's going on right now?
I mean, I think the market is in a bit of a similar position. It's funny to have. I did a show actually just a couple of days ago, and I said as close to this to new all-time highs as this market is. I think if you survey a lot of people, they would tell you that it is nowhere near all-time highs. It just doesn't feel that way, right? There's so much more fear, I think, out there than we actually should have, given how close we are to new high. I mean, the Dow made a new all-time high 2 days ago. It's crazy. And for a market that's, right now the S&P 500 is basically sitting on its 50-day moving average. For a market that is clearly rising, sitting on a rising 50-day moving average after a huge move, I think it's just a case where things have gone so far off of those April lows that people are just itching for any sort of sign of weakness. So I think we're kind of getting ahead of our skis a little bit with some of the negativity. That said, I mean, some of these pullbacks that we have seen in the individual names and some of the sector rotation that we're seeing, beneath the surface. It's funny right now, if we look at we're going to talk more about the scooter, but if you look at the scooter ranked sectors, you've got technology as the leading sector and you got healthcare as the next up. I don't really like to see healthcare leading the market. That doesn't exactly get me excited. Yeah. So we're seeing some really interesting sector rotation, I think, going on beneath the surface. Obviously, you got the expert in the room on that. Mr. Julius, I'm sure you're going to touch on that as well, Julius, right? Oh,
you're muted, Julius. You're muted.
Rookie mistake.
Yeah,
and it's not even 7 a.m. for me. Yeah, no, absolutely right. When I was going through like the sectors and doing my stock picks, what I found is indeed, first of all, it's healthcare and also utilities that are picking up steam in terms of sector rotation. But what's even more important, it's only technology. If you look at my RRGs, it's only technology on the right-hand side and pretty much everything else on the left-hand side. That tells you how skewed this market is. So healthcare and utilities really picking up steam in terms of sector rotation. But also staples, the very weakest sector, which also kind of doesn't really make any sense. And then I went to look into all the individual stocks, and man, oh man, there's a ton of stocks that lost not 10% in value over the last couple of months, but 10, 20, 30, 40. I mean, the divergence between gainers and losers is immense. And for this particular event, usually I only do relative strength, but it's a competition. You still want to win. So I brought in some sort of, trend following element, like it needs to be in an uptrend. And that really, brings down the number of stocks that you can pick from. If I look like, what's interesting on an RRG and what's still rising, then the amount of stocks that I could pick from were really, really limited. So good thing that I can go first.
There you go.
Yeah, that's actually getting into some of what I need to talk about here. But
I'm gonna drop out. I'll be back, in just a little bit. And Tom's gonna take some time to go over what the rules are for today. I want to mention one other thing. Matt Townsend, he's our guy in the background, and he's going to be keeping these guys honest. How's it going, Matt?
Pretty good. How you guys doing?
Good. So you got to keep these guys. These guys can talk. I know that, especially Mr. Bowley. So we got to keep them. Tom's going to go over the rules. I'll be back probably about halftime. We'll take a little break and go over a couple things. But listen, good luck in the draft, guys.
Thanks.
We'll see you.
Yeah, and we want to talk a little bit. We've got a fourth mystery guest. I saw a question in the question box already asking about this mystery guest. The mystery guest is the actual scooter ranking system at StockCharts.com. So the scooter system, which is the StockCharts technical rank, that's just an acronym, ranks all the different stocks between the asset classes. So large cap, mid cap, small cap, ETFs, whatever. We are only going to be focusing for purposes of the scooter draft from the large cap names. But when it's time for the scooter to pick a stock within a sector, we are literally just going to take the top scooter rank. And Grayson will take some time in a little bit to explain a little bit more about the scooter. But I just want you to know that we are going against an automatic relative strength system at StockCharts. So, I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to lose to the scooter ranking system. That's just a formula. Anyhow, we're going to talk more about that in a little bit. But what I want to do before we get going, because we do want to get this thing started, we're going to try to do, it's a 10-round draft. We're going to try to do each round within 6 minutes. There's 4 of us picking, so you can do the math, roughly about a minute and a half for each of us to make our pick, maybe give a brief analysis of what we like about it. When we make our pick, Matt will bring up our preferred chart style so that we can talk for 30, 40 seconds about the stock, what we like about it, and why we think it could be a good selection for the next couple of months. And then, if the others want to chime in, either, agree with the pick, disagree with the pick, whatever, just like we would any other, like a NFL fantasy draft or whatever, talk about how bad the pick was or darn, I was about to pick that same stock myself kind of a thing. But let me go through the rules, and we're going to get this thing started in about 2 or 3 minutes. We want to try to be done this by 11:30 Eastern. So that's an hour and a half from the start to finish. If you're a big college football fan, that should get you out in plenty of time to go check that out. If you have other plans later today, we don't want to keep you all day. But I do think it's important first to go through all these rules so you have an idea of what we're doing and how we're picking. So what we're going to do is we already determined draft order. We did that a couple of days ago. Julius won, so Julius will be picking first. I'll be picking second. Grayson picks third, and then the scooter team will pick fourth. And then with each round, we switch the order. We just go backwards, back to first. So in the first round, it's Julius, me, Grayson, scooter team. Second round will be scooter team, Grayson, me, Julius. And then back to Julius, me, Grayson, scooter team, Grayson, me, Julius. So we keep doing it. It's like a snake draft. And so every once in a while, Julius will have 2 picks in a row. Also on the other end, the scooter team will have 2 picks in a row. And Grayson and I kind of fit in between there. So that's the way the draft is going to go. There are 10 rounds. Each of the stocks that we select will be equal weighted. In other words, we'll have 10 stocks. They'll each be 10% of our portfolio going forward. The draft will run until the Friday before Super Bowl Sunday. So I believe that is February the 7th. But somebody can double check me on that date. But it's the Friday before Super Bowl Sunday. All right. Only U.S. stocks are allowed. No ETFs, no leverage stocks. So no 2 times Tesla, or 3 times NVIDIA, anything like that. No shorting, only long positions, no penny stocks. We want to make sure these stocks are liquid. If anybody has a question as we go through the draft, Grayson, Julius, if you have any concerns about any of those rules being violated, we'll bring it up, talk about it at the time. I don't think that's going to be an issue. The stocks, once we draft them, they will be purchased Monday morning at the open. So if anybody thinks they have any insider information over the weekend, well, you're going to have to get the stock at the opening price on Monday. And that will be the opening price as reflected by StockCharts.com. There will be no stops or sells or transfers throughout the entire draft. So whatever we pick, no matter what happens, a stock could get a downgrade Monday morning. They could, I don't know, their CEO could retire unexpectedly, whatever. We're stuck with these picks. So it's a little unrealistic because if you have your own portfolio, obviously you can get in and out whenever you want. But we're stuck with our picks. So we better be somewhat confident about them for the next couple of months. And trust me, we've been doing this at EarningsBeats for a long time, and things can change throughout the quarter. So that part will be interesting for sure. Let's see. So all stocks held during the entirety of the draft. Friday, February 6th, by the way, I do have the date here. So it's Friday, February 6th. That will be the closing price that we will use in determining who wins this competition. And that will be reflected or based on whatever's reflected by StockCharts.com as of the Friday, February 6th close. Best portfolio wins. Now, there will be certain drafting restrictions. So you cannot draft more than 4 technology names. The technology sector represents about 35% of the S&P 500. And so what we're trying to do with this draft is give everybody an opportunity to kind of somewhat reflect the S&P 500, but we don't want to turn this into a sector where somebody's just betting on a sector. So you cannot have more than 4 technology names. You cannot draft more than 2 names from any other sector. You must draft at least 1 stock from technology, discretionary, communication services, industrials, financials, and healthcare. Those 6 groups, you have to have at least 1 stock. From the other defensive groups, which are consumer staples, utilities, and real estate, you must pick a total of 1 stock from those 3 groups. Not 1 from each, 1 in total from those 3 groups. Energy and materials, you can have no stocks or you can have as many as 2. There's no requirement to draft material and energy, but you certainly can add 1 or 2 if you would like from either of those. So essentially, because we are required to draft at least 1 stock from the 5 aggressive groups and also healthcare and 1 from the other 3 defensive groups, we have 7 where we know we have to draft in a certain area. That leaves us with 3 additional picks, which I'm going to call wild card picks. You can have all 3 of those wild card picks in technology if you want. You could have 1 in technology, 1 in healthcare, 1 in discretionary. You could have 2 in materials and 1 in energy. You can use those 3 however you want, as long as you don't have more than 2 in any sector other than technology, where you can put all 3 of those wild card picks in technology if you want. All right, the scooter team, that is our mystery team. This is an automatic pick. We'll show you how this is going to work as we move through the draft, but the scooter team will draft in this order. They're going to draft in the first round technology, second round discretionary, third round communication services, fourth round industrials, fifth round financials, sixth round healthcare, seventh round, eighth round, and ninth round will all be technology stocks. And then the 10th round will come from consumer staples. So with that, we are ready to start this draft. Julius, you are first up on the clock. Matt, keep track of us. We're going to, like I said, we're going to try to get through every round in no more than 6 minutes. So Julius, if you are ready to go, take the stage.
You forgot one very important thing, my friend.
Uh-oh, what did I forget?
The prize for the winner, tickets to the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, I didn't.
Courtesy
I
EarningsBeats.
And Tom's paying no matter who wins, so it's great.
This is awesome. Right. Okay, I'm done. I'll see you all later. I quit.
Having said, I'll make this really quick. So because of everybody wants technology, and I am the first one, so I'm going to pick my first pick out of the technology sector, and that's going to be Applied Materials, AMAT. That was one of the stocks that came out very well on my RRG, and as well, it's still heading higher. So, with that said, Applied Materials is my first pick in the technology sector.
Okay, that's a good, interesting pick. How about you got anything else to say there about it, Grayson, or any thoughts on your side?
It's a good pick. I mean, I've got a little spreadsheet system going. I love a spreadsheet. And in my sort of row of technology names, I've got Applied Materials listed up first. So this is kind of an interesting test right off the bat for me of, okay, that might have been something I wanted. Let's move on to the next thing. I mean, great name right now. It looks strong. I love breakouts. We're going to talk about that probably a whole bunch. So, I mean, a really nice setup there on, kind of the longer term look that Julius has got. That's a great chart. Great pick. Strong stock.
All right.
Good sector.
All right. And we can move on to Tom for the second pick.
All right. Let's see. Well, Applied Materials was not going to be my first pick. Although I tell you, it's not a bad idea to go into the semiconductor area just because semiconductors have such a strong influence on the major indices. So I've got a few of the semiconductors of my own, but mostly in that area, I'm looking more at some names that maybe the two of you won't focus on. So I'm going to try and save some of those a little bit later. There's a little strategy going on here. But for my first pick, I don't know how I can get away. This stock has just been absolutely on fire for a long time. It's been one of the best stocks in the market. I think it's a leader. I think this recent pullback will probably have some other folks ready to jump in. The downtrend in the growth stocks worries me a little bit, but I got to go Palantir with the second pick.
It's a flyer.
So
that is a stock that freaking moves. I'll give you that.
Yeah, it's going to be all over the place, and I just hope it's higher on February 6th than it is right now. But I'm going Palantir, PLTR, that's in the software area. By the way, the one thing that's kind of interesting about Palantir, of course, Palantir's got it's got AI, it's got a lot of different things. It's categorized as software stock. But I will say that software overall has been kind of weak. And if you look at the long-term relative strength of software relative to the S&P 500, it's actually hitting a trend line. So it's been weak of late, but I wouldn't be surprised to see software return to strength a little bit in the next few months. And I think, again, Palantir is in kind of a lot of different baskets, but I don't think, if money does rotate more back into software, I don't think Palantir would be hurt by that at all. And like I said, it's one of those names that, yes, it's been hit really hard of late. It's come back down to some key areas of support recently, and we'll see what happens from here. But anyway, that's what I'm going with. Julius, Grayson, what do you think?
What happened to buy low, sell high?
Yeah, well, as a momentum trader, that doesn't happen very often. I buy high and sell higher.
I think you use 90 seconds.
You're seeing Palantir, consolidate within an uptrend. I think that's actually representative of kind of this whole market, right? That's the question that we're asking. Is this a little bit of consolidation within an uptrend, or is this the start of something else? So I mean, Palantir, I think is probably more consolidation within a continued uptrend. Good name though. I mean, does that PE scare you at all? That thing is heavily valued.
Well, I mean, if you waited for PE to buy, Apple or any of these stocks that make a huge move to the upside, I mean, there's no question this stock's been one of the big leaders in the market. And I think when you got, one of the best stocks and you get a pullback like this, you got to be thinking buy. But if growth stocks go out of favor like they did in 2020.
All right, fellas, we're going to have to move on to that third pick. That was a 3-minute one.
Okay. Let's keep going.
Grayson, what you got?
Keep us going. I am stepping out of technology. I'm going to do something that no one has seen coming. I'm going with BKR, Baker Hughes, out of the energy sector as my first pick. Whoa. This thing looks fantastic right now. So we're getting a little bit of rotation into energy. I'm seeing more pickup in individual names coming out of that sector that are actually looking strong. Across the board, the sector as a whole, kind of across cap weight tiers, is actually starting to strengthen. And this individual name just looks great. I mean, this is a beautiful breakout that's setting up right here. Actually has a little bit of relative strength coming out of it too. It's been bouncing off of that rising 50-day and rising 20-day actually. There's a lot to like on the daily here, and I think we're going to get a little bit more rotation out of tech, out of growth into some of these other corners of the market. So that's my first pick. I'm sticking with energy.
Okay, cool. I was not thinking energy.
Yeah.
But what I will say is I was, looking at the XLE, which is the ETF that tracks the energy sector, of course. And the XLE was getting close. If you look at a longer term chart on the XLE, it's getting really close to a breakout. And if it makes that breakout, stocks like BKR certainly could have a nice move ahead.
Yeah.
Following that leadership. And again, if we see the rotation, I don't know, Julius, how the XLE looks on your RRG, but if we continue to see that rotation that we've been seeing of late, that certainly could be a great pick.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not great yet, but it has all the potential to become one of the leaders. Yeah, I won't show you the little spreadsheet that I have here with my picks, but you may see some similar observations as that Grayson just made.
All right, guys, moving on to the scooter pick. Looks like the technology is going to be the one, and we're going with BMNR.
All right, Grayson, why don't you just take 30 seconds, 45 seconds, to explain what the scooter is at StockCharts so the folks know. And go ahead.
Yeah, so the scooter stands for StockCharts Technical Rank. The key about the StockCharts Technical Rank, the key about the scooter, is that it is the exact same formula applied to a huge group of stocks. Now, we do separate things into categories. So we've got, for individual names, we've got large cap, mid cap, small cap groupings. So you got to be thinking a little bit about those groupings, and they're kind of based on the standard cap tiers, right? So anything over 10 billion market cap is going to be a large cap. Anything between 2 and 10 is going to be a mid cap, and anything below 2 is going to be a small cap. The beauty, though, of that system is that it is the same technical criteria applied to a huge group of stocks. And so I say this to a lot of people, and at first they kind of have this, what do you mean reaction? The formula doesn't matter. The fact that it's the same criteria means that it gives you this way to compare and contrast names. I like to use the scooter as a filter. So I like to say, you know what? Anything that's got a scooter below 30 is probably just going to look terrible. Anything that's below 50 is probably still going to look pretty bad. I want to filter the names by things that are only above 60, 70, maybe even 80 on the scooter. It provides this amazing filter for you to say, there's so many stocks out there that I can look at, right? Thousands and thousands of stocks. I'm going to use this as a filter to make sure that I'm only looking at ones that have a reasonable chance of looking good. There's still going to be, some names that have a scooter score down in the 40s that end up looking okay. But it's an amazing filter to kind of make it easier on yourself to pick good names. So it's kind of our proprietary ranking system that ranks all of these different names in a group, and it's from 0 to 100. So it makes it incredibly easy too, because you can sort by it. Everything is going to be ranked somewhere from 0 to 100 within its own universe. Again, large cap, mid cap, and small cap. So
yeah, awesome. The one thing I'll say about the scooter, just to add, and we're going to move on because we got another scooter pick coming up to start the second round.
Yeah,
looks like Matt's ready to go. I'll just say that with the scooter, it is based. I think one of the limitations, every indicator has a limitation, and the one thing when you go through the formula is that it does focus mostly on the last 5 months. So you could have a stock that has a long-term 10-year downtrend that has a great scooter score because it maybe has bounced within that downtrend. So you do need to be careful. It's just like any other indicator. You got to find corroborating evidence, but this is a great starting point to find some of the higher ranked relative strength stocks, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So what do we got, Matt? What's the second round pick?
Second round pick for the scooter rank is QuantumScape.
Okay, so and there you see on your screen, QuantumScape looks like it's in a really nice uptrend. I got to commend the scooter team on this pick. I think this is a nice uptrend. It looks to me like it's pulled back a little bit below the 50-day moving average, but fairly close to where it broke out from a few months ago, and then again where it got down to just a few weeks ago. So I don't know, Grayson, Julius, what do you think of the scooter team's pick there?
That's interesting. Give me the first one again. So we had QuantumScape as the second one. What was the first scooter pick?
BMNR.
BMNR.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, QuantumScape is an interesting one, kind of bottoming. The scooter team is going for a bottom fishing play here. I like it. We'll see how that sets up.
Julius, any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I am not a fan of this one, to be honest.
Okay.
You know, I see massive negative divergence in that PPO on the top, and it looks like it's rolling over. It's taken out that whatever it is, 50-day moving average probably. No, I'm happy that the scooter team picks that, so I don't have to worry about my own picks there.
Not taking any of yours, that's for sure.
No, didn't.
All right,
Grayson, we're going to move on to you.
Yep, Grayson.
I am up next. I am jumping into the very exciting, very offensive, amazingly crazy sector of healthcare. I am going to pick LLY, Eli Lilly. This thing is interesting because it looks it looks good on the daily. I think actually what this thing looks great on is the weekly chart. The daily chart to me is stretched. We've just moved too far too fast on Eli Lilly. But if we zoom this thing out to the weekly, it starts to look a lot better because we're breaking out of this multi-year consolidation period. We've been drifting sideways on Eli Lilly on the long-term chart for a long time. But it's starting to make that breakout and resume this very, very long-term uptrend. I'm saying that we continue that through year end and into next year. So I think this long-term breakout holds on Eli Lilly. I'm sticking with healthcare for my second pick here.
Yeah, well, that was my top pick in healthcare. So,
nailed it.
Literally, it might have been my next pick. So that one hurt. I knew that was going to happen at some point. I was excited you went to energy because I'm not going to energy today.
Yeah,
but that one hurt. Yeah, I love this move. Lilly, even though it's in the pharma space, this is almost like a semiconductor stock. When it gets going, it can really move. And so this breakout, I thought that this one really was starting to look good. That cluster of volume that's come into the stock as it's moved to the upside has been strong. Yep. I think it's under heavy accumulation. I would not be surprised if this turns out to be a really good pick for you over the next couple months. I think Lilly looks really good. What do you think on that one, Julius? Muted.
Lilly was on my list as well. So looks like a common theme, but it was number 3 on my list. So I still have 2 stocks which I think are way better than Lilly to pick from. So
all right. Well, let's see what picks we got coming up then. Tom, what you got coming up next?
All right. I tell you, I could go in so many different directions. I don't know what the heck you all are going to pick next. I'm trying to get the ones I really want ahead of you. I thought Lilly might last to the second or third round at least, but was not the case. I think I am going to, gosh, which one do I go with next? I think I'm going to go.
Oh, come on, man. Hurry up.
I know this is not going to be easy. I'm going to go with technology. I'm going to go with a stock that I think just recently came out with great, strong earnings. I'm going to go with Cisco. CSCO. I really like the recent action in Cisco, the breakout. It's got a really nice, strong uptrend, the volume coming in to support that breakout there, the PPO making a new high. I just think the momentum is really starting to pick up here on the stock. So I think this stock will do well over the next couple months. If you look back the last few months when a lot of other stocks have been, really rolling to the upside, Cisco is just consolidating. So I think this breakout really frees this thing up maybe to make a little bit more movement to the upside as we get more and more rotation. So Cisco's my pick.
I like that pick. I had that on my list. I think this has thrown people a lot this year to see some of these old school tech names actually start to work and heavily dominate some of the new school stuff. Cisco, IBM, Oracle, we're hearing some throwback names. And I think it's thrown a lot of people for a loop who are going, what are you're telling me IBM looks good? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But they look great. Cisco looks fantastic. It's dominating the market. It's a great pick.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Julius. Let's see what you got for the second round.
Yeah, so the second round, so Cisco was my number 2 pick in technology, so that's a bit of a bummer. But I'm gonna go to healthcare as well, because I think there's a flyer there, and that's going to be AMGN. Great relative strength, just breaking out to new highs, and I think there's a lot of upside potential there. And I can do all of this in like 20 seconds, guys. So,
That's a good pick. I mean, same kind of thing. Consolidation on the weekly, breaking out, looks good on the daily. Moved far, but that's a strong name.
Yeah, biotech had been going sideways for quite a while, and then the last few months, biotech really has picked up, probably since back in June or July. And Amgen had just been consolidating and just made a breakout. This was another one of the names that was high up on my healthcare list. So probably I should have started with healthcare to kind of stave you two off, but too late now. Julius, you get another pick. What do you got in the third round?
Well, for that one, I'm going to go to energy, just basically to get in the way of Grayson. And I'm going to pick Halliburton, HHAL. And if you look at that I think that's a prime example of buy low, sell high. This thing has gone down massively this year. And if I look at RRG and relative strength, it's coming out of a very long period of underperformance, just bottoming out. If you look at that raw relative strength line in the middle, you see a nice rounding bottom. You see a price breakout, and the RRG lines are well above 100. So that's reason enough to put HAL as a first pick in the energy sector.
All right. Well, I can see if energy has a good quarter, I'm going to be at a tremendous disadvantage with both of you all moving into energy. Yeah, this one kind of surprises me a little bit with you, Julius. I would have, I see that it's definitely improving in its relative strength over the course of the last 5-6 months. But on a weekly chart, has it moved into the upper right quadrant, into the strengthening? Oh, it has?
Yeah, absolutely. Against the S&P 500. But let me give you a little bit more background. So the first thing that I did before preparing this was looking at an RRG where I combine the size indices with growth and value. And the group that really stands out is large cap value. So the large caps are still dominating, but value is picking up. And that kind of ties in with what we see now, where growth stocks are coming down. It's coming a little bit more risk into the market. So I am primarily staying with the larger cap stocks and looking to steer away from the real aggressive growth area. Hence, Halliburton, healthcare. You'll see a few more of those.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because just studying history the way I do, most of the outperformance of growth stocks occurs from the months May through August, historically, throughout this secular bull market. And so when you move beyond that period, that shocks a lot of people because folks will say, go away in May. And that's actually the period when growth stocks tend to do their best. So I don't disagree with the strategy. That's for sure. I am now on the clock again. So I'm going to keep this thing moving. I am going to move into a new sector. I am going to move into the discretionary area. And I am going to take a stock that had been heavily shorted, that has been seeing a lot of strength of late, has broken out, and I just hope it's got 2 more months left in it. I think that this is probably one that neither of you are going to like, but I'm going to go with Wayfair. Ticker symbol W in the XLY discretionary area.
I didn't see that coming. That's an interesting name. Good trend on the daily. I mean, off the lows. What a move.
Yeah, it's had a big move. It's a lot like so many stocks that came off the April lows, had big runs. But this one, I think, has got a little bit extra in it just because of the short interest. That short interest has been coming down a lot. So I think a lot of the folks that bet against this stock are starting to lick their wounds. The short interest has come down quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I think it's in a really nice uptrend, nice breakout. it has run a lot, but that's, hey, as a momentum trader, that's what I'm going to run into. I'm going to run into stocks that have run a lot. I think that the market short term could have some difficulties, but I think by February, I wouldn't be surprised to see some of these names continue to show leadership. So anyway, that's why I'm going with Wayfair.
All right, Grayson, moving on to your pick. What do you got for the third round?
I'm going to technology for my third round. I started with some kind of more defensive corners in the market, but I'm picking up Broadcom, AVGO. This to me, especially since we've got a little bit of a window in front of us, right? We're going out a couple of months. I'm basically just saying I'm not calling a top in Broadcom here. Looks great on the daily, trending really nicely, moving off the lows. Great relative strength on this name. But Matt, I don't know if we can do this, but if you look at like a 5-year weekly chart on Broadcom, this thing has done basically nothing but go higher for 5 years. Even through some of the weakness that we saw a couple years ago in the market after kind of the pandemic run, really just a little bit of consolidation there. I mean, look at how steady this long-term uptrend has been on Broadcom. In a great sector as well, in a great industry group, semiconductors. I think is going to continue to run higher. It's been doing it for years. I'm going to say it doesn't stop.
All right. I think we're going to go ahead and move on to the scooter picks. I think they got our communication services for the next pick, and that would be ASTS.
Ooh. I had WBD as their top scooter. Can you pull up that scooter score?
I mean, I downloaded this on Friday. This is just from the scooter report.
Huh.
I can go.
Yeah, go into the dashboard and go down to scooter reports. This is where you find it. This is actually good for folks to see. Yeah, right there. And then, type in the search box there, communication services. I literally just did this morning, so I'm wondering. Yes, I see WBD up there at the top.
Nice. All right, we'll switch it up then. Warner Brothers.
Yeah, WBD.
All right, let's take a look at that guy.
Pull the chart up. Yeah, that one looks, from a momentum perspective, certainly you can understand why the scooter ranks so high. That's been a great performer for sure.
Yeah, it has. Great trend, beautiful relative strength.
Absolutely.
All right, move on to round 4.
Yep.
And back to the scooter again. And scooter goes with the industrials this time.
Bloom Energy.
This thing's been a monster. Yeah, this is one of those stocks we talked about. When you see a stock that's gone up this much and it starts, to pull back here, Grayson, Julius. I mean, what do you think of a stock like this? Because I actually looked at this, and I know it's a little early to make this call, but I mean, could that be maybe one more bounce into the right shoulder of a head and shoulder topping pattern, maybe?
Absolutely.
Yeah. God, these are those names that just, even when they're this stretched, they so often they just keep going higher. And people say, oh, it's way too late to get into this thing. And then it rallies another 85% from there. I mean, this could turn out to be, not my style, but could turn out to be a big winner for the scooter category.
Yeah. All right, want to keep moving?
Yeah, might as well. Grayson, what you got?
Keep it rolling. All right, I'm on the edge of jumping out of technology, but I think I'm gonna take one more technology name here. I'm going with CrowdStrike. I love this space. CrowdStrike is in the cybersecurity space. I just think for years I've thought that is a fantastic space to be. It's only getting more and more important. It's a space I actually own through the ETF layer. CrowdStrike, one of the big players in there, just continues to power its way higher. Not dominating in the way that some of these other big growth names have, but a massively important name. It looks great on the weekly. It looks good on the daily here. Has struggled a little bit more than some of those other growthy spaces, but continues to move higher. Now back above its 20-day relative strength looks pretty good. I'm sticking with CrowdStrike.
Okay. Just let you know that is your second wild card. So you have an energy that you picked, and now that's your second technology. So just to let you know.
Yeah.
And Julius, you have one wild card that you've taken so far. That was your energy pick. And I have taken one wild card because I took two technology. So just kind of keep everybody up to date there, because just as a refresher for everybody, we have 3 wild card picks in addition to what we have to pick. All right. So moving on, anybody else? Julius, did you have any comments or anything on CrowdStrike? You want me to go?
No, you can go on. CrowdStrike was number 5 or 6 on my list for tech, so I'm not worried.
Okay. He's still pretty happy. All right. I'm going to move into another new sector nobody's touched on yet. I'm going to go into the financials, and I'm going to take SOFI, SOFI. I think this has been one of the best stocks in the market. I think it's been pretty steady, continues to move to the upside. There's been a lot of chop here, with the stock just more recently. But I think this is a stock that actually, Matt, if you go to the lower right part of the screen, there's a little black dot, go all the way down to the bottom. Yeah, and you can kind of drag that over to the right. Yeah, just to fill your screen, just to make the chart a little bit bigger for everybody. But yeah, I think that this pause after a nice uptrend, I think this is healthy. And with it pulling back, if we'd been at the top end, I don't know if I would have included this one today, but I do like the recent pullback on SOFI. I think it's one of the leaders in the financial area. And so anyway, that's my pick for round 4.
Nice. We can move on to Julius if you guys want to go ahead and keep it rolling.
Yep. So I'm going to go consumer discretionary. And the reason for that is because I think it's a sector that's going to be under pressure for the next couple of months. And I found only 3 stocks that I thought were interesting, and I still need to do one. So I'm going to go with GM, General Motors, in consumer discretionary as my pick in consumer discretionary. Great relative strength and a massive breakout, even on the monthly charts. So, probably a good thing in a not so good sector at the moment.
Yeah, I think looking at the chart, I agree with you, Julius. I think this is a really nice looking breakout. This is one I had on my list. I'm a little concerned about these autos just because they seem to get on a roll and then they just completely fall apart. But this is definitely, you can't argue with the chart right now. I love, in that bottom panel there, looking at the, relative strength and momentum. I love that cross back to the upside there with that red line. So I do think you've got a really strong relative strength winner going into into this period that we're going to be looking at. I just don't know if it holds up. That would be my biggest concern, just based on history.
We'll see. I think downside risk is protected to the breakout level, so that's relatively mild. So risk reward perspective, and it's one of the restrictions. I need to have one stock in that sector, so this is the one.
I like seeing other names in that space too that are working. Like Ford actually looks pretty decent right now, coming out of a long-term base, trying to make its way higher. So the fact that you got some sort of group strength, it's not like GM is just kind of floating out there on its own. It's interesting.
True that.
All right, Julius, let's move on to the 5th round. What you got for your next pick?
Yeah, I'm going to go communication services. And this one I'm not sure if I had actually never looked at this stock before. It's NYT, New York Times.
Yeah.
A lot of sideways movement and relative strength, starting to pick up a little bit, but I like the breakout on the price chart. And no matter how much I like relative strength, it's full. It's a derivative of price in any way, shape, or form. So the breakout did it for me, and then when I accompany that with the sideways move that we've had for a long time in relative strength and the pickup of that relative momentum, I think this is a good one for the communication services sector.
All right, Tom, what you got for your 5th round pick?
All right, 5th round pick. I am actually going to turn a little bit more defensive with a stock that has not been performing well, but I do like the accumulation distribution line on this stock, and I do like its long-term chart. So I think the fact that it's pulled back is a great opportunity. I'm actually going to go and take my defensive stock here. So I'm going to go into the staples area, and I'm going to go with Costco, one of the general retailers. I think this stock, even though it has been languishing,
What's their symbol again?
Costco, COST.
That's right.
I just think it's one of those charts where I don't know if you can maybe substitute that PPO, maybe just throw the AD line in there, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, down below there, right at the top there, PPO.
Oh yeah.
Just switch out the PPO for this one.
That's just your baby, right? I remember when you were doing the morning show with Aaron, you always were talking about Costco. That's just your baby.
Yeah, no.
He just likes the
AD.
Yeah, the AD. So the first indicator there shows PPO. Yeah, scroll down. It should be one of the top ones. Hit that scroll down button.
Oh, there we go. Money flow.
AD line. Yeah. So look at that AD line on the top. I mean, I really like, even when a stock's going down, first of all, most of the time when a stock's going down, the AD line's going up. I tend to go with the price action. In this case, this is a company that's got a great long-term track record. And I actually have been watching Costco for a while. And I think as it's been slowing this move to the downside, I think this thing is ready to make a push to the upside. And being a little defensive, going a little against all the aggressiveness that I have in my portfolio. I just think it's maybe just a good stock to add. So that's why I'm going with Costco here.
Nice. All right, Grayson, what do you got for your 5th round pick, brother?
All right, I'm sticking with another steady trender. I'm going to put some nice pants and a nice coat on. I'm going with Ralph Lauren, RL. This thing looks great on the daily. I mean, just a really, really steady trender on the daily. Steadily outperformed the market for a while. Even pays a little bit of a dividend, which is nice. Volume isn't too great, but I love the price action. I love the way that this thing is trading around some rising moving averages. And again, I'm always flipping back and forth between different time frames. That's crucial for what I do. So for me, zooming out to the weekly, this thing has been looking great for years. So again, kind of similar to one of the picks that I had earlier. I'm betting that this just doesn't end. This thing has been moving higher really nicely for a couple of years, really kind of coming out of 2023. I think it's gonna stand. So RL, Ralph Lauren. I'm so fashionable with this pick,
I like it. I like the uptrend.
Yeah.
And I think it's a little, obviously a little different space than where you've been.
Yeah.
And so, I think that that uptrend looks good to me as well. A little choppy, but definitely putting in higher highs and higher lows.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right. We got one more Scooter pick, and we're going to take a little break. But Scooter's stuck with financials in the 5th round.
I know. This is one of the reasons why I took SOFI.
Yeah, SOFI is gone, and then we get Robinhood.
Oof.
Yep. That's a good one, too.
That is a good one. Scooter steals the hood. Okay.
Yeah, this is another one. I mean, we have so many stocks fitting this theme right here.
Yeah.
And I mean, my portfolio could be shot if these growth stocks don't show some resilience over the next 2 or 3 months. Because I do think that this is where a lot of the leadership comes, trying to stick with a lot of the leading names. And I can't argue with Robinhood. I think this is one of the leading names. It's been beaten up. And the question is this the start of something to the downside, or is this an opportunity?
Yeah.
And everybody's going to have their opinion about that. But I think I really like the setup here on this one.
I do too. That's a strong name. Yeah. Whew. Good pick,
right.
Scooter team.
Anything from you, Julius, on that before we go to a break?
Hood was not on my list, so I'm absolutely fine with that.
Let them have it, right? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this is so much fun. We're going to come back. We still got 5 more rounds to go. I'm going to turn this back over to my partner, John. He'll give you some ideas, some things we got going on at EarningsBeats. But we'll be back here in just about 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, Julius heard hood and he thought it was an auto stock. Anyways, listen, just want to take a couple of minutes here again to thank everyone. This is going along great. You guys got a cadence going right now. I know you're going to start flying for the second half. Every time we have one of these events, we want to reward people who come in with a great discount on our membership. It's called our flash sale. And our flash sale, which will go through Monday, allows you to become a member of EarningsBeats for a couple $100 less. And I'm also throwing in here, if you sign up by midnight tonight, you get a bonus month. So 13 months at $797 instead of the $997 price, you just can't beat it. The significance of offering it today is a couple of fold. Number one, you're going to get Tom's guidance every single day. And I'm sure if you ask people in the chat what they think about Tom who are members, they'll let you know. More significant, Monday night, this is kind of a fun little mock draft we have today, but Monday night, Tom is going to release his top 30 stocks in our portfolios, our model portfolio, our aggressive portfolio, and our income portfolio. And these are stocks that are meant to be held for a full 90 days. And then Tom, another 90 days from now, will come up with another batch. Today was open to everybody. Monday is for members only. So if you want to be part of that draft, the actual draft where Tom reveals his top 30 stocks for the last quarter of the year, you got to be a member. Second really important thing, very beginning of January, we're going to have what we call our Market Vision event. We started these in 2020, have done them every year. 2026 will be coming up, Market Vision, the very beginning of the year. And you have to be a member to participate. You have to be an annual member to participate in that event. So not only you get the draft, you're going to get that Market Vision event as well. And just so you know, Tom, at the very beginning of 2025, his call for the market was 7,000 on the S&P. And one of my jobs is to keep track of analysts and what they're reporting. And it's unbelievable how they change throughout the year. Tom has stuck to his number and he's sticking with it through year end. And if you come into the Market Vision event, you'll get his forecast for next year as well. Anyways, I want to throw that out. Go to earningsbeats.com, flash sale. And by the way, you will do best with us if you're also a member at StockCharts. I have to throw that out because everything we do in terms of charts and the most maximum you can get out of our service with charts is with StockCharts, Tom.
Yeah. There's no doubt that there's quite a tie between us and StockCharts. We use the StockCharts platform for everything we do. So it's just a natural fit. A lot of people think that we're part of StockCharts. We're not part of StockCharts. We just had a great relationship for many, many years. And I love the tools there. So I think the chart list there, that feature of being able to take all of the research that we do and put together like these watch lists. We have a strong earnings chart list, a raised guidance chart list. We have a strong AD chart list. I talked about that AD on Costco, how strong that stock looks from a AD perspective. And that's just an indicator that suggests that there seems to be some buying taking place, when you've got a really strong AD line like that. But anyhow, we use the service a lot for that. And then we can run scans against our chart list. So it's just a really cool platform. And so I was doing that in my trading. And I thought, well, why don't I just teach folks how to do that? So you don't have to be a StockCharts member, but it certainly helps.
Absolutely.
When we put all this stuff together, all of these chart lists and all can be downloaded into your StockCharts account if you're a member at StockCharts with at least an extra membership or above.
Yep. All right, I have one quick two things. I'm out of here. Okay. Number one, if you go back to when we started our portfolios, when Tom first put out the model portfolio, we started that, I think, in, I'm going to say 2018. It has crushed the S&P, crushed it. You can go to our website and you'll see the performance. And second thing, I will remind people, sign up for the flash sale tonight. I'll give you a bonus month, 13 months instead of 12. You won't get a better deal. I'm out.
All right. Sounds good. It is time to get started on the second half of the draft. Again, I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I mean, we've got a huge crowd. it's awesome to see so many of you out here. I mean, this is kind of trading and all is kind of a lonely game. I always found, as a trader, I think it's good to have a group, kind of have a community. I know that's what you all do over at StockCharts, Grayson and Julius. We do the same thing at EarningsBeats. It really just makes you feel like you're part of a community, like-minded community. We don't always agree about the stocks, but I think for the most part, we do agree that technical analysis is a really key part of any kind of portfolio strategy, looking for relative strength. I mean, even though we're coming up with different picks and we might not like the other one's picks, we all have legitimate arguments based on technical charting and to some degree fundamental research as well. But anyhow, first 5 rounds were great. We do need to pick it up. This is going to be kind of like the NFL draft where you have a lot more time in the first couple rounds. And then now that we're past the first 5 rounds, we're going to see if we can pick things up. Our goal, it's 11 o'clock. I said we were going to be out of here by 11:30. So I'd really like to be through the draft by 11:20. And that'll give us 10 minutes kind of recap and so forth and make fun of everyone else's picks. So where are we, Matt? We're in the 6th round, and who's up?
6th round, we got healthcare up. So we're going to bring up INSM.
Oh, okay. This is for the scooter team.
That's right.
Yeah, I like this chart a lot. Yeah. I was looking at this one. It was on my list, but I've already got a lot of smaller companies. Well, I shouldn't say that. Growth companies, not all. Obviously, Palantir's not small. SOFI's not small. But I do have a lot of these growth stocks. I think INSM, if it weren't for maybe just a little bit of weakness in the smaller and mid-sized companies, I probably would have put a little bit more emphasis here on INSM. But I really like the chart. I like the relative strength. You can kind of see going down the line, everything moving up from left to right. What do you guys think about this one?
I mean, these are flyers, right? You're seeing biotechnology be a really, really strong corner of the market right now, something that we haven't seen in a long time. These stocks absolutely move. I mean, this thing is outperforming the market by over 500% in the last 18 months. Crazy. So, I mean, this is one of those picks for the scooter team that could be, an absolute smasher, or it could totally turn around on some bad news and drags the whole portfolio down. It looks good, though. I mean, look at that steady trend.
Yeah, these stocks are built on significant growth continuing down the road. And so you're right. Anything disappointing, a lot of times just starts, stock just rolls over and just keeps moving to the downside. But anyhow, we do got it. We have to keep moving. I know, Grayson, it's your pick. What do you got?
I got Goldman Sachs up next. I'm going to financials. And here's my thinking on this. One, the chart looks great. It's moving higher. It's been consolidating a little bit for the last kind of 2 months, I would say. But still consolidating within a very clear uptrend. Looks great on the weekly as well. If you believe in the deregulation story, right, that's coming out of this administration, you believe that financials are going to get a big pressure release from deregulation. I mean, Goldman is like the picture of that, case, right? They're the type that are going to benefit from that. So I think, especially looking out, a couple of months or longer, Goldman looks fantastic right now. Seeing a lot of strength coming out of some of those big financial names. Some of those big banks have just been absolutely flying. So Goldman is my pick for this round.
Awesome. Tom, moving on to you. What you got?
All right. I think I am going to go. I'm going to take my industrial stock here. And I like a name that's just been consistently moving up here over the course of the last, certainly since the April low. I'm going to go with Caterpillar. Caterpillar made a big move up with its earnings. I think it's pulled back. It got up to almost 600. It's pulled back. On Friday's low was down to 540. So that's a 10% pullback to its rising 20-day moving average. Like I said, I think it's just been one of the strongest stocks in that group in the commercial vehicle space. And this is an area that's been outperforming the S&P 500 by a pretty wide margin over the last couple months. So it just seems like the group is strengthening. and I like Caterpillar within it. So that's my pick.
Awesome. Julius,
on my
moving
list.
to you. Yeah, it sounds like a snipe.
Yeah, so I'm going to stay in the same group in industrials. And I'm going to go with Deere, DE. Nice, good, solid American tractor company. I own a Kubota tractor, but that doesn't mean that I can't like the Deere stock. So that'll be my pick for this.
Okay. It looks to me like it's breaking that downtrend. So timing could be really strong.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like, this imaginary rising trend line dropping back to the horizontal breakout level. But the reason is like the relative strength is starting to bottom out. It's inside the lagging quadrant, but starting to really rise nicely with a good heading. So that's it.
Awesome. You get another pick as well, Julius. Looping back to the 7th round.
Looping back to the 7th round. Let me go. So if I do financials, then I have fulfilled all my picks there. So let's go to financial. I'm going to do AFL. And that's AFLAC. And it's, the relative strength's bottoming out, but look at the breakout in terms of price. Yeah. So, when that continues, that relative strength will definitely follow. So AFL for me in financials.
I like that pick. That's a really nice one. Great breakout. That's the type of thing where if the market does shift away from some of these more growthy corners, I mean, I think you're going to see stuff like insurance just really start to work.
Yeah, I had this one on my list as well. I really like that cup and handle breakout.
Yeah.
Really strong move to the upside. You love to see that period of consolidation like that, the pullback, and now breaking out. It's a space. We talked a little bit about that earlier, but just the insurance space seems to be an area where money is rotating right now. So I like that pick as well. That's a good 7th round pick right there.
Absolutely. All right, Tom, what you got for the 7th round?
All right, for the 7th round, I am going to go. Oh boy, this is a tough one. Which way do I want to go? I'm going to take my communication services stock here. And I'm going to go with the stock that has been showing tremendous leadership in the internet area. Internet stocks love the month of January. Get that down, Julius. We don't need to be influenced by alcohol at this point in the competition. I'm going with Google. I think this is the best name right now in internet. And internet stocks are their best month of the year is January. That's the NASDAQ's best month of the year is January. So I think getting one of the strongest stocks, I just hope it keeps its relative strength until we get into the month of January. But I really like Google here.
Awesome.
I think that's a good one.
Keep it cooking. Yeah. Grayson, what you got for your 7th?
I'm going industrials. Now, I find this really interesting. If you look at a chart of GE, it looks fantastic. If you look at a chart of GEV, it's even stronger. So this is the spinoff from GE a little while ago. GEV looks absolutely fantastic. I like the setup on this as well, consolidating within this uptrend. So, I mean, this is a name, if you look at that top panel especially, these are 1.5-year charts, by the way. So about 18 months, right? This is a name that's heavily dominated the market, outperformed the market by over 170% over the last 18 months. Has just been an absolute flyer. Love the consolidation, though, that we're seeing right here. It's kind of bouncing off of, I guess you could say it's resistance turn support. Trying to really solidify that support level around kind of the 530s. So I think this continues to consolidate, eventually pushes out through that consolidation and makes its way higher. I like GEV here as my next pick. Industrials.
I love that pick.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think this is a great company. It's doing almost what it did. I don't know how far that is back, the consolidation before the last breakout.
Yeah, exactly.
Back at the beginning of the year. But yeah, I think it's setting up very similar to that. I think a little bull wedge kind of going on here. If you get that breakout, I think the key for me is just whether it continues to consolidate or whether we get the breakout. But that could be a huge winner if you get that breakout there on that.
Yeah.
All right, we got the Scooter team coming.
Scooter's next up. Going to technology for the next 3 picks for Scooter. All right, BMNR. I guess that's already off. SanDisk. That's what it looks like.
Yep. I'll tell you what. You talk about a stock that has gone straight up, and this is the poster child. Its relative strength is off the charts. And notice as it keeps going higher and higher, the volume keeps going up. So, I mean, the dollar volume that is pouring into this company, this scared me. I mean, this is the epitome of chasing a stock to get into it here. I'm not saying it doesn't go higher, but it's one of those that, you know, can you find more buyers to keep sending this to new heights? I don't know. But when you talk about relative strength, I don't know that, and this is in the semiconductor space. This is one of the strongest stocks in one of the strongest areas. And I wondered if anyone would pick this. For me, it's just a little too rich. And I like rich, but this one's a little too rich. What do you all think?
I think it's a little too rich. But again, you know, if you moved this chart, right? Imagine that you took the whole chart and you went back in time like 3 months. You could say the exact same thing about this chart. It's gone way too far. It's just way too stretched. It's made too much of a huge, crazy move. So, I mean, that's the trick of trading a name like this, right? Is that they continue to run for a lot longer than you think. That said, at some point the party ends and it really freaking hurts. So is that party going to end in the next 4 months? I don't know. I mean, it's like you said, it's got this expansion of volume, which is interesting to see. Could be a big winner though for the Scooter team.
Yeah, that one is just that could be one of those stocks that either makes the team or breaks the team. And I don't know which way it goes.
That's my prediction for the Scooter team, is that it sees like 5 names that absolutely dominate, and then it sees 4 names that just get slammed.
Well, and the thing is, and I really want to point this out about Scooter, again, it's based on the last 5 months. So that's the only thing it's looking at. And it's looking at how, I mean, there's a formula and certain percentages, you know, you get certain points. So being way above your 50-day moving average, for instance, is something that the Scooter score ranks really highly. Right. So when you see a stock like SanDisk make this kind of move, that's going to score really well in the relative strength system that StockCharts has. So anyway, if you're just wondering.
Well, and Tom, let me take a quick sec there to say too, you know, we see this a lot with people saying, well, the stocks that have a score of 99.9, they're just, you know, crazy. So this whole system must be out. If you actually talk to anyone who really uses the Scooter, like, you know, all 3 of us, the sweet spot, I think, is like somewhere in the 80s. You find names that are in the 80s. It means they're strengthening, especially if you can put like a moving average on the Scooter line, because you can actually chart it. And then you see that Scooter score continuing to rise. So, you know, admittedly, you know, even with my StockCharts hat on, the stocks that have a score of 99.9, sometimes they stay that way for a lot longer than we think. But, you know, I think the sweet spot is really finding things with a lower Scooter score that's trying to get up to that 99. Mm-hmm. Ideally, you want to catch something at 80 and ride it to, you know, 98, 99.
Yeah, I would just add something to that, because I think this is a really good tip too for StockCharts users. One of the things I really like to do is there's a predefined scan 52-week highs.
Yep.
And what I'll do is I'll take those 52-week highs and I'll put them into a chart list, and then I'll sort them. And actually, when you pull the scan up, you'll have the Scooter on there, and you can sort it by in Scooter order. Yep. And I like to go to the lowest Scooter scores that are breaking to 52-week highs.
Yeah.
Because if you think about the theory, what's probably happening on those stocks, if they're breaking to 52-week highs, obviously they're fairly strong. But the reason they've got the low score is probably because they've been consolidating. And you might just be getting a breakout after a consolidation. So I think sometimes you get a Scooter score in the 60s, 70s, maybe in the low 80s, like you're saying, and you're making a breakout. I think that can be a great way to find some stocks maybe that aren't looking like SanDisk, that do look like, you know, they're more sideways, kind of like what Julius was talking about, AMGN, which I think was a really nice looking chart. A lot of, I mean, years of consolidation, now just making a big breakout.
Yeah, let me add to that the change of the Scooter score. I like to look at the change. So I don't like the stuff that's up there. I like the stuff that's
moving up there, and the change of the scooter score definitely helps with that.
Yep.
All right, guys, we're going to move on to a little speed round. We got 5 minutes until the 11:20 cutoff you wanted. So we're going to move on to the the 8th round pick for Scooter. We got IREN.
Yep.
So we got a nice little pullback below the 50-day. Hopefully we can bounce maybe a rough one.
We'll
We'll see.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I know we want to keep moving, but that one looks like maybe it might be just starting a steeper fall. Needs to recover pretty soon, get back over that 50-day.
Yeah,
Exactly. All right, Grayson, what you got?
All right, I am going back to healthcare, and I am going with Gilead. So technically biotech, one of the big guys. GILD is the ticker there. This is kind of exactly what we're talking about. So this is a nice period of consolidation. Actually looks a little bit different too. If you take the dividends off it, you can kind of toggle that back and forth. But at the top of the chart here, Matt, there's a feature that I've got turned on called the full quote, which gives you more information. So that whole box there that's got all the price information, all that stuff. And you can see the scooter score right in there. So 73.2 is the scooter on this. So consolidating, now making the breakout, trending higher, really, really nice move. And the scooter's down there in the mid 70s. So I think this thing can start to run. I think we're going to see the scooter continue to climb. I think we're going to see Gilead continue to outperform. That is my pick for this round.
All right,
Awesome.
Grayson,
Tom, what you got?
I just want to mention that is your third wild card pick.
Yep.
So you now must pick a financial and you must pick a defensive stock in your next 2 rounds. That's the way I have it.
Yeah, I think I've already done financial with Goldman.
Financial.
I think I need the Staples Utilities Real Estate, and then I need a Communication Services.
Yes, that's it. My bad. No financial.
Correct.
So I just had you marked as your third wild card, so I knew you were out of wild card picks. Okay, I'm going to go back into technology. This is going to be my second wild card pick. And I am going to go with a stock that has just recently caught fire in the software space. I already have one software name in Palantir. I'm going to go with another one. Smaller company. This was a stock that was way higher maybe 5 years ago. Went through a lot of consolidation after a long downtrend, and now to me looks like it's starting to turn back up. So I like APPN software, APPN. Huge earnings report just came out recently. I think the stock probably could use a little bit of a pullback in the near term. I wish we had an opportunity maybe to try to get in at a little bit better price. It might get back down to that 20-day moving average, but I love the volume that came into this stock. That was the either first or second highest dollar volume move in this stock's history on that breakout to the upside. And it was followed up with 3 or 4 more really solid volume days to the upside. I think there's tremendous accumulation taking place on this stock. So a pullback would be welcome on the stock, but I really like this going out the next few months.
All right. Julius, moving on to you. You got back-to-back picks.
You're muted.
Muted.
I'm going to go with my second pick in technology, and that's going to be HQY. And for me, that's a stock that saw a pretty big decline in the technology sector despite the rise of the sector. And you now see relative strength bottoming out. It's starting to move into the improving quadrant on the ROG. And I love the massive breakout in terms of price. So HQY is my second pick inside the tech sector. And do you want me to go on, or do you want to want to pick on me, or do you want me to move on?
No, I like the uptrend. Go ahead.
All right, then I'm going to go with my second pick in the energy sector. And that's going to be TPL, Texas Pacific Land. And if you look at that, it's coming out of a massive decline, relative strength improving, and I like that bottom formation with the breakout.
Yeah.
And, especially because it's well protected on the downside, I think for the next, 90 days, I think we're talking about, this should have good potential.
All right. So you have used your 3 wild cards. It looks like you need a consumer staples or utilities or real estate. Is that what you got?
Yes, that's
That'll-
right.
Okay, so that'll be your 10th round pick. All right, I can tell you one thing. If energy does well this quarter, you are going to swamp me because you now have 20% of your portfolio in energy. All right, back to me. I am going to go. Uh-oh, we got somebody. Somebody's not happy with that pick. I can hear the background. Let's see. All right, I'm going to stick with technology. This will be my 4th technology pick and my final wild card pick as well. And I am going to go with, and I tell you what, this one is really going, this is another one of those crazy growth names. But in the, boy, if I do this, I can't get a semiconductor stock though. All right, I'm a little torn. Oh boy. Yeah, I know. I'm really torn here.
I'm glad somebody has the discipline to stay on the clock.
I'm going to reverse course. I'm going to go with a semiconductor, and it's a smaller one. But it's a company just came out with great numbers. AEIS.
Yeah, good trend.
Yep, I like this pullback. I mean, the AD line, even in the pullback, the AD line is really strong. I just think AEIS is I had to have one semiconductor. If that group keeps going, I need a leader in that space, and I think this is one of them.
All right. Grayson, what you got for your 9th round pick?
All right, my 9th round pick, I think I'm going to pick up my communication services. I'm going with RDDT. That's going to be Reddit. Consolidating. I mean, it's moving sideways. Good relative strength overall when you kind of think out a little bit longer. In the near term, relative strength has not been that strong. But again, we're consolidating within this this sort of uptrend out of the IPO. So this is not a very old name. Went public in 2024. Still looks pretty good though in the long term. I think this one continues to push higher after consolidating here a little bit. So Reddit is my next pick.
Awesome. I think it's a great looking chart to me. I think it has a chance to break out.
Yeah.
We can move on. We got the tech stocks coming from the scooter team. We already got Sanda. We already got these 3. So I guess we're going to Western Digital.
Yeah, I looked at both Western Digital and Seagate Technology, both really strong charts, but on the AD line, I don't like that negative divergence where we've kind of broken out, but on the negative, that AD line has not broken out to a new high. So I'm a little concerned that maybe this might be a little toppy. Also, the volume, maybe slowed a little bit on this breakout. I don't know. I looked at that one closely. Obviously, it comes up in a lot of relative strength scans. The stock is a really strong one.
Do you have the RSI on that chart? Yeah, this is such a good lesson. People see the RSI, get overbought. They see it over 70 and they think, the stock has to turn around because the RSI is in overbought territory. But what people forget is that overbought does not mean that this thing has to turn around. It might take a pause, but it signifies intense buying. Look how much time this thing has spent in overbought territory as it continues to just fly to the upside. It's a good lesson for people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We got a Staples pick coming up from the StockCharts team, scooter team. Coca-Cola.
Oh,
nice.
Good name.
It's not Coca-Cola. It's Coke.
Koke.
Well, it's not KO. It's COKE.
Right.
So it is a little different than the soda company.
Right.
But that is a pretty strong looking move to the upside.
Yeah.
Solves a problem for me.
And especially for a staple. This thing looks fantastic on the weekly too. God, the breakout on the weekly is a thing of beauty.
Look on the monthly.
Look at the monthly.
Yeah.
Wow. Check out
yeah,
the
you might
weekly,
want to
too.
go back a few more
Yeah.
years there.
Need more history.
Yeah, right.
As I said, this solves my problem. I cannot pick it anymore now.
Just change the years. Just change the years from 1 to like 20.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good
I mean, that's
chart.
been a strong stock for a long time.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Grayson, what you got?
Last pick, Grayson. You got
Last round.
You got a staple coming up.
All right. I was going to try to make a joke about this ticker, turn it into a pun, but I'm tired and I need more coffee. I'm going with Welltower. WELL is the ticker here. Steady trender. Just continues to power higher. Kind of making a breakout too on relative strength. This is actually something that people I don't think talk about enough. When you have a relative strength line, like at the very top of this chart, that top panel there, Matt, is the stock price relative to, in this case, the total market. That relative strength line, you can draw patterns on that too. So this is actually making a breakout to new relative highs in addition to trending higher. I think it's in a space that's getting a little bit more love, especially if we continue to see more sector rotation out of some of those growthy corners. I like this name. I think it continues to push higher.
Yeah, I think that's the highest scooter score for real estate stocks.
It probably is.
So,
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, this is an 80, almost an 86. So pretty high scooter stock. Not 99.9, but yeah, pretty high name.
It is the highest. Yeah.
Yeah.
we should have had an AI voice or something for the scooter team because they would have backed you up on that pick, Grayson. All right, my last pick, and I got to go in healthcare. And I got a few. I really like a few of them here. I mean, a couple names that I thought maybe might get picked that didn't. Steris, STE, Gardant, GH, Cardinal Health, CAH has been on fire.
Yeah.
All three of those names, I could flip a coin, but I like the long-term consistency of Steris, STE. So I am going to pick STE as my last pick in the healthcare space. I have met all my requirements of the draft. Well, one more requirement, that is to beat you two. Well, you three. But that's the only one I can take care of today. Julius, you get the last pick.
Yeah, so I'm looking at my picks, and I think I made one mistake. Maybe I'm too heavy on the energy side, but that's too late now. And in the staples, real estate, utilities bucket, my plan was to have more in there. And the scooter team picked my number one pick in staples. Grayson picked my number one pick in real estate. So I'm going to go with my number one pick in utilities, and that is EIX.
It's a nice base.
Stock that came down, massive base, call it a double bottom, inverted head and shoulder, whatever you want, I don't care. It's breaking out to the upside. You see the relative strength is starting to get alive. I only need to look like 90 days ahead, right? So I think this has got good potential in the next 2-3 months.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
EIX.
Yeah, that's an interesting pick, and I like the way this is all played out. I think when all's said and done, I think if these next 3 months turn out to be a period where growth continues to struggle like we've seen over the last few weeks, if that's the start of a period of growth being in, having problems, then I will be buying you all beers because I'm going to be a distant third or fourth maybe looking at my list. But I don't know. What do you all think? Just looking at the market based on the picks that were made, any big surprises or what do you think about the market?
I mean, the tough part of this challenge, right, is that you're picking names, but you're not trading them, right? So for all of these, I mean, I think it's just a good reminder for all the viewers. If this was real, if we were actually getting into these things, you gotta trade them, right? You gotta find your actual entry point. It's not just buy the open on Monday. So it'll be really interesting to see how these play out. But I mean, I think we've got some really great obviously, across a whole bunch of different sectors. I think we found some really strong stocks. I like the diversification of setups too. It's not like we're all just picking the same type of, this is strong, this is trending. We've got some bottom fishing in there, some turnarounds. It's a great mix. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, and I see a question that just came in. Do you include dividends in picking the winner? I think we should. So I think what we should do is adjust the opening prices based on the the dividend adjusted prices.
Right.
They're already, when you take the StockCharts prices, the default, that's total return anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me touch on that just since we got a couple of questions about it. So all of the names on StockCharts, if you just type in a ticker symbol, it's going to be adjusted for dividends automatically. If you want to unadjust a chart, if you want to take dividends out of the picture, there's a little checkbox at the bottom of the Sharp Charts workbench that allows you to do that. Or you can, if you kind of know the secret, you can type an underscore before the symbol, and that'll show you the unadjusted chart. So you got kind of two options for it. But by default, dividends are going to be included whenever you pull up a symbol on StockCharts. So that probably makes it easy for us when we look at prices and calculate these things out.
Yeah, a couple things because we're going to wrap up here. We said 11:30. We're going to shoot for it's 11:31. Matt, great job, by the way. Thank you for keeping us in line because we could have gotten away easily. We usually do. But Grayson, a lot of folks probably in here are new to StockCharts. We featured a lot of the charts. We featured scooter scores, of course, relative strength, all these different things. If somebody just wants to try out the service, do you have kind of somewhere you can point them to, that kind of thing?
Yeah, this is the absolute perfect time to try out StockCharts. So, first and foremost, the tools that we're using today, all of us, things like chart templates, we call them chart styles, but being able to, take all your settings and save those to a template that you can use, creating chart lists, running scans, all the stuff that we're talking about, you got to be a member to get that stuff. So this is a fantastic time of the year, though, to sign up for StockCharts and give it a trial. We have a free 1-month trial, super easy. All you got to do is go to stockcharts.com to hit that big green button right up at the top of the screen there, or top of any page is a big green button that lets you sign up. If you do that free 1-month trial right now, though, obviously it's going to give you 1 month. That's going to extend into December. And the reason I say it's such a good time to sign up is we do our biggest sale, biggest special of the year in November, obviously for Black Friday, Cyber Monday kind of thing. So that's coming up at the end of November. So if you sign up for a free 1-month trial of StockCharts right now, that's going to take you through that Cyber Monday special. You'll get all of the emails and the notifications and stuff about signing up at that discounted Black Friday price. It is our biggest, baddest, best sale of the whole year. Doesn't get better than that. So if you do that free 1-month trial right now, you'll have an opportunity to sign up for a longer term account at a big, big discount in really just about a week or two here coming up. So but the homepage, just go to stockcharts.com, look for that big green button. That's the place to go. Really kind of level up your whole toolkit with the same stuff that the three of us are using.
Yep. The other thing, I don't know what you all have done in preparing for this. One thing that I did was I put together a chart list.
Yeah.
I have like 100 names on it that I was really starting to filter down, which I think is a really good list, especially for a momentum trader. I would be willing to share that chart list with anybody who's either an EarningsBeats or StockCharts member.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you all have something similar that you'd be willing to share.
Yeah.
With the group, but
I do, Julius. I won't speak for you, but I've got something similar. So could put that together, create a shared link, and send it over to you, Tom, if you wanted to shoot that out to everyone.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Julius, do you have anything like that? That you put together?
Well, I did it on the fly, but what I can do is actually set up a list with all my picks, even the ones that I didn't pick, or didn't came to fruition, so people can see the selection and then kind of find out the selection process, so to say.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to end this. Did you all keep track of what everybody picked?
I did.
Okay, I did too. All right. Last thing I want to do is I want everybody to name the one stock that the other one picked that you really like. One of the 10 that the others picked that you really thought was a great pick. And I'm going to do it first, and I'll give you some time to think about it. I'm going to start with Julius since you picked first. I mean, looking down your list, the one stock that I really was interested in that you got was AMGN. I love AMGN. I like the space that it's in. I like after years of sideways consolidating, I think that's a huge breakout. That was one of my top stocks I was looking at. So I thought that was a great pick. Grayson, looking at your list, I think I would go with GEV. I think this has been a tremendous relative strength winner for a while.
Yeah.
And I like this pullback. I think it's sitting down close to the low of a basing pattern. I think that was a really good pick. And then the scooter, I'm just jealous because I'm a growth momentum kind of trader, and everything they've got in there is awesome. I mean, maybe you all disagree, but I really like growth and I really like momentum. I think the one sleeper in their portfolio, and I know it's starting to look bad, but if it starts to bounce back, I would keep this one on your radar, and that's IREN. This thing, it looked to me like it was being heavily accumulated. Keep in mind when these stocks, finally start to see some selling, they'll go through a period, and you might start to see a big cup start to develop on this stock. So I would just keep IREN on your radar because it has pulled back quite a bit. But Julius, go next. Do you see a stock for each of us?
Yeah, absolutely. I would have picked Cisco if you wouldn't have not done it. So that's one.
Yeah.
And then for Grayson, I would have picked Well in the real estate space. And in the scooter team, I would have picked Coke for staples.
Awesome. What do you got, Grayson? What do you think?
Well, Julius kind of stole a couple of mine there because I would have said Cisco as well. I think if growth slows, but people still want some level of exposure to tech, I think that's the type of name that continues to work, kind of that old school tech model. I think Cisco is probably on that list for me. I also really like the SOFI pick. I also really like the Cat pick. I don't know. Maybe Caterpillar's my pick for you, Tom.
You want to change portfolios? Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. Julius, what was the one I was looking at? I think Applied Materials is a really good pick. I think that's another one that just continues to work. Now, you know what? I'm changing my Julius pick. Aflac, I think, is one that really works over the next couple of months. I think that breakout holds. I think we see insurance really work. And kind of a similar setup. I got to pick Coke. I know you just said it, Julius, but from the scooter team, I think Coke is a great pick. I really like the setup on that thing.
Okay, so the main takeaway is that we all three had Coke and we all three had Cisco.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
I'd say 50-50
I want to say a
portfolio.
lot of comments about how awesome this format was and having the collaboration with StockCharts. You guys did a fantastic job. And Matt, he kind of held his ground with you guys.
Yeah. Kept us in
Not
one place.
easy.
Yeah.
It's easy to get off track with Tom.
We need to give Matt a buzzer next time so he can just go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
I just want to say the combination of EarningsBeats membership and StockCharts, I think it's really hard to beat.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for putting this on. This is a fantastic event.
Yeah.
And someone was asking, to do this again. And, I don't know if I want to let the cat out of the bag, but we have talked about doing something at a little bit bigger scale at StockCharts next year.
Yeah.
Just leave it at that for now.
I think we got to do it.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun. But
Sounds like it.
yeah, I want to see if I win. If I win, I'm in favor of a second one. All right, well, it was a lot of fun. Thanks everybody for participating. Again, if you want to check us out, we do have our special flash sale going at EarningsBeats. So you can go over to EarningsBeats.com and you'll see it on the site. But yeah, save a couple $100, get an extra month if you sign up today. The flash sale is good through Monday. And again, as John mentioned, I will be giving our picks. They may not match these exactly. Obviously, I don't have any competition. I get the top 10 picks in each portfolio. Nobody can take my stocks. So it'll be a lot of fun on Monday night, filling out the portfolios for the next 3 months. But you can check that out, even with a 30-day free trial at EarningsBeats. You can still come to our portfolio draft on Monday night. So make sure you check that out. But again, Julius, Grayson, thank you all so much for joining me. I have so much fun hanging out with you guys and always learn a little bit. I got a couple of these stocks written down, going forward for sure.
No, this
Sounds
is a
good,
blast.
man.
Thank you guys
Thanks,
for putting this
guys.
on.
And Matt,
Thank you.
appreciate your help, Matt.
Yeah, no problem,
Bye-bye.
guys.
John, and everybody
Bye-bye.
in the background too, by the way. We had a lot of folks helping out getting this thing ready. So appreciate everybody's help. And thanks to all of you for showing up. I hope you had a good time. And we'll do it all again soon. In the meantime, Team Bowley, let's go.
Let's go, guys.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Everybody.
See ya.
You guys. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.